Just being mindful of the few tricks that I'll show you in this video, you'll get great images of any small family groups. However, one in particular will give you good images in every photo session. So check it out. My name is Anthony Lawrence, and I've been a photographer for over 30 years. For a number of years, I was a certified professional photographer. I taught photography at a local college, and in 2010, I wrote a book on photography. And although technology has progressed, the basics are still the same. With all this experience, I am confident that even seasoned photographers will pick up a few pointers in each session. Now, let's get started. Dealing with one person seemed perplexing in the beginning, didn't it? Adding another one doubled the excitement. But having to deal with a whole family or a crowd appears almost foreboding. But it needn't be, because you already know what to do with individuals of both the genders on the individual basis. You just put them together when you're doing this here. And of course, doing so, you simply could just line them up and shoot the picture. But of course, you don't need to watch this video for such a suggestion. Another quick solution would be set them up in a pyramid and go for it. And in some situations, you may not have the luxury. And take your time to do a detailed setup. Indeed, in this picture, a composite of two was made because Felix, in the one in the red sweater, had other ideas and we was not about to cooperate for more. So the entire sitting consisted of only 20 images, and that included two separate poses. And we're gonna cover all poses, both of them, that is, because Felix was not about to have any of this anymore. And since another session was out of the question, you need to turn to Photoshop and do cut and paste. An example of how this was done, it requires a whole separate video. And if there is interest in this video, I will go over it in the future. This session, however, it's all about posing, and so we'll stick to that. Just an FYI, I used two images shown to create that one that was acceptable to all. And of course, this was not as difficult as it may appear because of what? The clothing of the people and the background. So uniformity is important. So having said all that, what is the key? The number one thing when you're doing the family groups is equidistant positioning of the individual in the entire group. Larger groups, it's a whole different issue, and we'll cover that in the next video. In this one, however, what it means equidistant is that you have each head in the group equidistant from the other head, both horizontally and vertically. Is it ideal? No. But the closer you come to this ideal, the better the rendering of the entire group. This particular family shown here was sitting on the ground. But this need not be the case. You use the same principle in any situation. Number two item, as you set the group up, make sure there's nothing in the background that would distract from the group or have anything growing out of anybody's head. Number three is not to have heads stacked so one appears to be growing out of another. Number four, placement of hands is very important. In most cases, you want to have uniformity and consistency for a harmonious balance between the family members. If you have one individual touching another, then arrange the whole group so they are all connected. However, in doing so, position hands so they don't compete for attention, as shown in this picture. Let's see how many things are wrong here. This could have been easily remedied by asking mom to back off slightly with her hand, and that would have made a much smaller profile, but still show connection. Father, at minimum, should have cupped his right hand and backed up his left hand and tucked it under Felix. Note how his left hand seems elongated because it goes all the way around Felix. Kira should have moved closer to Felix for two reasons. A, it would match the proximity of the others, and B, the white stripe wouldn't be in the background and growing out of her head. Now, number five issue is when taking the family, consideration must be given through clothing and even shoes. If the picture is informal, perhaps on a beach, shoes obviously are optional. But in a case of this image, which is somewhat formal, it just does not seem appropriate that Kira has nice shoes and parents only socks. Let's see how many other things are wrong with this picture and how can we make it better. Hands, of course. Their hands seem to be almost as big as Felix's head. And as I mentioned, mom's hand takes away from the picture as well. The other thing that makes the image a bit odd is the fact that Kira is touching Felix's shoulder and there appears to be a connection between them, and yet it still doesn't seem right. She's just what, too far in relation to all the others, and that white column is growing out of her head. And her hand, it's competing too much of what? With his head. So when all things is said, the only thing that's good about this picture is their expressions are great. Oh, have great expressions. So what can we do to fix it? Well, as you can see on this image, we cropped the picture. But Kira's hand and her position in relation to the rest of the family has not changed. And of course, there is mom's hand. And the fact that she moved a bit closer to that makes Kira's separation only that much more pronounced. Yes, it's better, but still it needs improvement. So we moved Kira on this picture a bit closer to Felix, moved her hand back a bit, and also mom moved back a bit for a better balance. Her hand is still creating a distraction. Not only that, notice how all the members are touching each other, but Kira is not. And there's still too much of that white column, which means what? Another take. Finally, we have all the elements together. But what happened? We've lost Dad's and Felix's expression. Now, looking at all three, do you see the subtle differences? The impact that they have on each of the images? Which image would you have picked? Please don't say none. Remember, I had a very small window and two poses for all 20 shots total. And yes, they picked the one, obviously, that was sitting on the floor, none of the ones down in a chair. So, few more things to consider. Clothing should match the mood and the setting. Colors should not clash unless there's a specific reason for it. Or you're documenting something special or particular. Of course, you can't control such things if you are thrust into a situation where you must deal with what is available. Because things are just that quick. However, being mindful of the things that we just covered in this video, you will get great image in every situation that you must take pictures in of small families. Now, in the next video, we will cover larger groups. And yes, there are tricks to that one too. So check it out. See you then.